I haven't tried that out when I played. Wow.
And if there's actually, if you are in fields or if you are in higher grass, it will do exactly the same. So it's actually one of my favorite parts. We completely reworked the system of the effects of the shooting and explosions.
Oh.
So these objects are real objects. You can actually play a small billiard with them around. You can shoot them, you can push them in front of you. They really react. It's not anymore just an animation of an edge. There are some bugs, as you can see, they're a little bit bumpy on my tongue. But you can actually play quite a bit with the environment.
At the same time, Miloš already mentioned that we are not really doing built-in destruction. Mechanically, yes, we can. However, it will have a very nasty consequences on the gameplay because a lot of save zones, a lot of possessions.
First time, there was a lot of players who just stand around that and didn't get anywhere else. So as you can see, the water reacts completely on your movement. It's dynamic, it's calculated. So the pressure is actually going around your tank, it reacts on your braking. It's actually pretty neat. And my favorite one is shooting. Not only a new effect, but actually the pressure wave that you could see from the nature is happening even in the water. You can imagine that on some of the maps, this will really increase the graphical fidelity.
Also linked with the caliber of the gun, so if you're shooting something bigger, the wave will be obviously bigger.
I can see people starting up training rooms just to try this out and just shoot.
Well, it was funny because when we were showing it first time in WG Fest, there was a lot of players who actually didn't get from the water. Like literally they just spent the time in the water and were shooting and having fun with all the effects that we added to the game.
So, and again, this microphone trick. So Miloš can command whatever he is trying to accomplish in here. Meanwhile, everything that was working on the previous map works here as well. So it's not per map, it's systemic right now. It works everywhere.
So as you can see, in the red chart we added a few cool objects like one zeppelin is actually crashed over there, one zeppelin over us, a lot of planes flying all over the place. So we are not trying just to actually increase what is next to you, but even around you, and to make it as cool as possible.
How am I supposed to shoot things when I'm just looking at the scenery? That's the question, I suppose.
Maybe for a few first games, everybody will agree to install no fire zone.
I have already a very plus, something that's a really huge plus from this is that whenever I get destroyed, it's going to be so pretty that I'm going to be happy about it, probably.
We'll see soon.
So as you can see, even the high grass reacts on the shooting, and all the walls around are actually destructible with the hammock. The bigger buildings are actually still something we are working on, but some of the small effects are pretty cool, and you can have lots of fun on your machine.
So just notice how the horizon line changes the perception of the map. It indeed feels that there is an enormous space around you from all the directions, and it's a pretty realistic setup now.
Actually, all of this space, this is actually not 2D. All of this is actually 3D modeling that happened around.
Wow. Same goes with FX and everything else.
This is one of my favorite maps. For some reason, I'm not sure why. I just love this map, and this looks. I can tell you that sometimes I'm not even sure where you are, and then I realize it, and oh my god, the difference is huge.
Yeah, so this is exactly the effect I was mentioning earlier on. The first impression is, I don't know this map anymore, and we really try to keep that muscular memory feeling. So if you start to do what you are used to do, you suddenly find yourself in the correct positions, under the correct strategic advantage, etc., etc. So it was extremely important.
So you just follow your previous instincts, and you get up, you get to the same positions as before. It just looks different.
There was lots of discussion between me and Andre actually about specifically this part, because one thing is, as Andre said, we are trying to preserve as much the gameplay as possible. Of course, it's not always possible with each of the objects of the scene, but our guys are actually trying to do the best work on preserving all the gameplay elements.
I think the console version has, you know, long way to go to catch up with this. I'm going to have a discussion with our specialist Yuriko, who is really into the console version, and I like that version as well. But this, well, they have, you know, something that they have to achieve.
Yeah, it looks amazing. We ourselves can't wait the moment till we will finish this work.
The work is cut up for them, that's for sure. This is awesome. Wow, the textures are also really, really nice.
At some point, I do remember when we were testing one of the first maps, I think it was Monastery. I was driving around in T62A, I believe, and I was shooting windows. Even for this initiative.
And did I see it correctly before when you were driving in the water that there's a kind of a shockwave traveling out from your gun when you're shooting?
Exactly. The shockwave is actually basically physical-based shockwave all over the place.
So it's not just an animation; it's actually physically there.
This is actually a real reaction. And as I said, even the like I will show you here in the environment that you can see that even grass immediately reacted as soon as I actually showed. Or if you go to some of the trees or bushes, let me actually get there. They actually react the same way.
Oh.
So they really react in a moment when you shoot. The same works for the water. So this is blind based. So no, you cannot actually see it in case that it's actually it's not visible on your machine, because it might actually change the gameplay quite a bit. But at the same time, it gives quite a bit of visual fidelity. And when we had actually 15 to 15 shootout with the new tracers and new effects, the battlefield looks quite real.
I can imagine. I love World of Tanks, but this just, this blew me away.
It's absolutely stunning.
I mean, I think I played one map, and it was at Wargaming Fest. I haven't actually managed to play the ones here, so I'm kind of looking at this for the first time as well, and it's amazing.
It also unlocks a lot of different other potential possibilities for us. It's probably too early to talk about many of them, but we did a lot of technical solutions that will allow us to move on with the visual quality of the maps altogether, and at the end, as I said, was the gameplay features as well on the maps. So if we want to, theoretically, let's say we can build a night map now. That was impossible to do before. Practically, this is still a big question: should we or should we not?
But this new renderer, because this is basically a new renderer, right?
Yes.
This actually opens up a lot of new possibilities for us in the future.
It's a different bits of a new renderer. So let's say a lightning process, and that will allow us to have now significantly bigger amount of light sources of different types that emulate, I don't know, projectors and fires or whatever else. The gameplay value of that is kind of should be proven first, but technology allows us to do things like that now.
That's awesome.
But there is no this feeling of unfamiliarity, thanks to the lots of objects that look kind of similar.
Because the layout is much more set, right? Because you are kind of in the city, the streets are there, so it's much easier to know where you are exactly.
Yes,
much more familiar, as you said.
To orient yourself in space, yes.
So let me show actually one of the small surprises that the guys prepared for us. And that one is actually here on the side of the river.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
So as you can see, we have actually a pretty beautiful piece of art parked here in the water, and we are really simulating one of the harbors in Germany during the end of the war. They actually even showed me pictures of similar port that was realistically actually taken from the Second World War. But my favorite one, and I already showed it once, but let me actually get some speed and I will show you once again. I call it the billiard. it's actually quite a huge formation of gas barrels, and you can have some fun on the map with them.
A little bit of Michael Bay effect going on there.
Exactly. So if you get them actually in a bit higher speed, I already managed almost every single one of these barrels to get on the other side of the map.
Oh, so there's a little bit of mini game going on there, right?
Yeah, theoretically it is possible. Yeah. Then imagine this medal and 200 barrels transferred or something like that.
Ooh, I can already see a couple of really interesting contest ideas with that, to be honest.
Yeah, and as you can see, the destruction component in the city map plays a significantly bigger role because there are much more objects by environment, by the context, much more objects that are destroyable and will fall into pieces in an intricate and interesting way.
I just love the edge of the map, which is basically not there. It's like a city.
One plane. Okay, so now I can circle this guy around that hill, and that hill actually exists behind the borderline of the map.
Whoa, you actually really confused me with that one. Whoa, there's no edge. Previously there was a wall or something here, right?
Yes.
Oh my god.
So
and you can
here,
shoot over
Here
it.
you can actually see that I wasn't joking, that this is actually real terrain. If you shoot, the water is there.
Okay, to be honest, I kind of feel like a small child. You know, like it's Christmas.
But that's sort of an effect we tried to achieve.
Okay, it was achieved.
Well, there was lots of work actually put into this one, and as I said, here you can see that the map looks bigger than it was before, because previously all of these were walls, but now you really feel like you are in the middle of the city, and not just in a small box or small town somewhere in the middle, but it's actually just walled around.
And I think for grand battle maps, that feeling will become even bigger because.
So we are also doing this for grand battles.
For every map we do have in the game.
That's gonna be huge and awesome. I guess that's gonna be a lot of shells flying around. So with all these effects, it's like basically the perfect opportunity for us to shoot some videos. Awesome.
Absolutely.
I can already see the RNG videos, for example. A couple of really cool GIFs can be made out of those.
Well, not only GIFs, I hope.
I'm pretty sure there are going to be much more than just GIFs. Ooh, the whole thing is like much. I guess the size is the same, but it looks much more open.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. That's exactly the part of the effort we were talking a lot before. We wanted to make sure that every maneuver you are used to do is doable and doable in the same manner as it was before, while visual is the same, is significantly more striking and impressive and looks more real at the end. Because this is a castle. I mean, you can go outside if you're living somewhere in, I don't know, Germany.
It's one of the most iconic locations in World of Tanks, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It looks completely different, but it looks much better.